folks, it's John with Ozarks Backroads with you today. We got a new horse in the stable. We've got a 2018 FJR. We've traded in the old 2013 I've been riding for the last 4 seasons. So we've traded up. We've got a few improvements here. We've got a 6-speed transmission that comes along with this this new model. It's got the full LED lighting. The lighting turns when you go around the corners. Lights up. If you turn right, it lights up down in the ditch towards the right. Lean angle, I guess, sensitive lighting, and a few other things. But I'm pretty excited about this. I haven't gotten to ride it much. I've got maybe 60 or 70 miles on it since I bought it. But the new transmission is really nice. It's got helical cut gears so they don't whine like the old units. They shift real smooth. They're not clunky, agricultural feeling like they used to be. It's a pretty nice bike, what I can tell. We got to do some mods on it though. Get ready to go out west this summer, so we're going to go through some of those, change it over, and get it up to spec. So stick around. We'll see what's going on with this this new 2018 Yamaha FJR1300. I think what I'm going to start with on this project will be the Helibar, the handlebar riser setup. This is the one I had on the old FJR. I'm just going to change it over and put it on the new one. So we'll kind of go through that. It's a pretty neat setup, and it really makes a difference on being able to ride long distances with the bars pulled back towards you a lot more. Makes it quite a bit more comfortable. We've also got our Givi rack mount for our top case, and it's the same one I had on the other bike as well. We'll put it over on the on this new bike, and then we're going to put some canyon cages on it, cage the motor up, fairings up, so in case we ever drop it, we won't destroy anything. So we'll get started on this and see how this goes. Here on these handlebars, you can see there's just 2 handlebars that sit on top of the triple trees here, and there's 2 covers here, one on each bar. We'll just take the screws out of them, and then there's a couple of bolts, and that bar will just come right off. We'll wrap them up in a towel real good and just kind of lay them over there on the side out of the way. And then we can mount our plate up. Got our bars off, kind of wrapped them up and laid them to the sides here. You can see where they mounted on top of the triple tree. So now we've got this Helibar plate that sits where the bars used to sit. On the front of the plate sits where the bars used to sit. So we'll mount this plate up, and then our bars will mount on back here. So we get an inch rise, and it's 3 inches back offset to the back. So that's a pretty good deal. We make a little progress here. Plate mounted. Got the bars on there. The bolts in it. We got to put our little covers back on. This thing even come with a hole right here for my X-grip mount, my ball mount for my X-grip. Got that on there. But it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns right here. We had a little work to do. It comes with an extension cable right here for the brake hose off of the master cylinder for the front brake. So I had to change that. It's a banjo bolt here and here. Little extension line in here with a couple of washers on either side and a banjo bolt here. It's got a bleeder on the end of it. So after I put that in, I bled the master cylinder out that bleeder. Just cracked it open, pulled the handle, shut it, released the handle, just pushed the air out. So we got that going. That back on there. What else did we do? The throttle cables on right here were originally run around over the top of the triple tree right here, and they were too short to come over and reach this far back, so I had to release the cables out of the housing right here. I've got a video on that on the Versus over here where we did that. So I took the cables off and then put them in under the triple tree and came back in, and that gave me all kinds of room for the cables. And then on this side over here, the clutch, the hydraulic clutch line right here was the same. It was run over the top of the triple tree and it wouldn't reach back here. So I ended up having to take it loose off of the master cylinder here for the clutch, and I'm pulling it back around and underneath the triple tree here and back up here. And then I bled it down here at the clutch cylinder. We bled the air out. There's a bleeder nipple there. Well, here I am down here on the clutch hydraulic slave cylinder for the clutch. And since I had to open that line up on the master cylinder for the clutch up on the handlebar to move the line around behind the triple tree, I got a little air in it, so I'm bleeding this out. What I've got is on the nipple here of the bleeder, I just put on a plastic line, run it down into my little catch can down here. So all I'm going to do is open this bleeder slightly, squeeze the clutch lever shut all the way, hold it, close this line, this bleeder, then let off on my lever, let the master cylinder fill back up. Give it a second, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to crack the line, nut loose there, squeeze it, and then shut it back while I'm holding the lever down so it doesn't draw air back up through there. Alright, I've done that several times. I got a little air out. Let's see if it's how it feels. Alright, that feels pretty good there. I believe we've done the deed. So we'll zip tie all this up and put our covers back on up here. And you know, we got the handlebars. I mean, it puts them back there with you. When you get them, you know, 3 inches is a lot. So that makes for a big difference on the ride. Right there. Alright, we'll do a little cable management and then we'll move on to our next project. I think the next thing we're going to do is put the Givi rack mount on the back of it. It's got a plate here that bolts down to the back, three bolts. We'll take out of the existing cover, and then there's some spacers, and then this just sits on top and bolts back down. And then the rack mount itself just bolts onto the top of that plate once it's mounted. We got our plate all mounted up here with our 3 bolts, got spacers under it to hold it up off of this plate. Came with it. Now we got 4 bolts, or 4 bolts here. Our top plate just sits on here, and we'll bolt it down, and that will be the install on the top rack. So that's a pretty sweet deal there. Got our rack mounted up here, got it bolted down. Let's see if we can put our case on it and see how it looks. Looks just like it's supposed to. I just use the one case, switch them back and forth between the 2 bikes, whichever one I'm riding. So cool, we got that mounted up like it used to be on the old bike. I think it'll work fine. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go on and cage up the motor here, put our canyon cages on, protect our fairings just in case I ever drop it. So we'll get set up and do that. These are the MC Enterprises canyon cages here for the FJR. Get a look at the instructions here. Looks like the first thing they're going to have us do is remove the rear motor mount through bolt, which is a big old long bolt, and replace it with this bolt threaded on each end on this one. Right here is the rear motor mount bolt they're talking about. It runs all the way through. We'll see if we can crack that loose and get it off. Hopefully the motor doesn't relax and the holes don't come out of alignment. Slip around there and pull that out. Here's the new bolt we're going to put in. You can see it's quite a bit longer. There'll be some spacers that'll go on it, and then the bars will sit over the spacers, so that's why it's longer. I went ahead and put a little grease in the threads. We'll slide that back through, and it said just to leave it with threads exposed on either end. Just leave it for now. Here on the left side of the bike, we got our foot shifter here. This is our bolt we just slid through from the other side. We got it sticking out quite a ways over here. It's give us two spacers to put on here. It's got a flat spot to clear the frame as it goes in. It said to put the long one on first, followed by the shorter one. So those go there. Well, the next order of business, it says to remove this motor mount bolt right here. Okay, we've got our cage right here, and we got our bolt and another spacer with a step here that goes over our bolt, and it says to put this in the front bolt hole that we took the motor mount bolt out of, and then the back lower hole goes on that long stud we put in earlier. Ran it all the way through like that, and then we got a mounting point on up here as well. So I'll snug this up. Back here on the long bolt, the stud that we pushed through, I put the original nut on it and just ran it down to where the stud just about come out the end of the nut here, and I'm just going to leave it for now. We put our bolt in here and it's loose. We can kind of move this around. I'm going to put this cover back on, and there's a bolt that goes through the cover and through this, the upper mounting point here. So I'll put that back on, then we'll go over to the other side and put it on, then we'll tighten it all up when both sides are in place. We're over here on the right side now, and it looks like the same process. We're going to remove this front motor mount bolt right here, and then the cage will slip over. There'll be a spacer and a bolt here, and then it'll slip over the other end of the stud here, and a cover bolt here will hold it. Here's the cage for this side, and we just got a through bolt here on the front mount with the spacer that goes on it, and then we'll put the back mount over the stud here, slide that dude into place, bolt her up. Well, that about wraps up the install on the Canyon cage there. Same cage I had on the other bike. I let them go with the bike, so I'm going to replace this one, put these on. I had hoops on the other bike that ran out in front of the side cases that match these, but I found out that if you do tip the bike over, lay it over, the bike rolls up on the bottom of the muffler, and these hoops don't do anything. It'll roll up on the bottom of this cage and the bottom of the muffler. So I'm not even going to bother with the hoops because there's no advantage to having them. So the only other thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to mount up my foot pegs. I got some clamp-on ISO pegs that I like to, that's what I put on these. I'll be styling. Well folks, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me and checking out the new 2018 Yamaha FJR1300 we got going on here, and some of the mods we've done. Invite you to come back. We got a few more things to do. I'm thinking those big exhaust cans need to go, and maybe a little bit better seat, but we'll see what happens. Come back, check it out. We'll do some more things, go some places. Might even get on the Versus one of these days and take it somewhere. Thanks for watching.